It all started on a rainy Thursday evening in a quiet suburb just outside of Chicago. Daniel, a 17-year-old high school senior, was walking home from his part-time job at a local electronics repair shop. He had stayed late to help fix a customer's broken tablet and ended up missing the last bus. He didn't mind the walk, though. It gave him time to clear his head and listen to music. His hoodie soaked up the drizzle, and his shoes splashed through puddles as he cut through the back alley behind the mall to save time. That's when he saw it. Lying on top of a pile of garbage bags, under a broken office chair, was a phone. It was cracked, dirty, and clearly discarded, but something about it made him stop. It was an older model iPhone, maybe 5 or 6 years old. Normally, he'd ignore something like that, but as someone who repaired electronics for fun, he figured it might be worth salvaging for parts. He picked it up, wiped it on his sleeve, and slipped it into his backpack before heading home. That night, after dinner, Daniel went to his room and pulled the phone out. Surprisingly, it powered on after a few minutes of charging. The screen was shattered, but the device booted up without any issues. Even stranger, it wasn't password protected. No Face ID. No passcode. Just an empty home screen with one folder titled simply, "Watch This." There were no contacts, no apps, no recent calls, just that single folder with 12 videos inside. He hesitated. Something about this felt off. But curiosity got the better of him, and he tapped the folder. The first video was dark, blurry, and clearly taken from a hidden camera. It showed a man walking quickly down a city street at night. The footage had no sound, but the camera was shaky, almost like it was recorded from a jacket pocket or small spy cam. The man kept looking over his shoulder as if he knew he was being followed. Daniel watched as the next few videos showed more of the same man, eating at a diner, entering a small apartment, talking on a burner phone in a dimly lit parking garage. Then the fifth video stopped him cold. It showed the man in the same apartment, talking to the camera directly. "If you're seeing this," he said, "then I'm probably already gone. This phone has everything. Every piece of evidence. They're watching me. They're listening. I can't go to the police. I don't even trust my own family anymore. This is my insurance." Daniel felt a chill crawl up his spine. He paused the video and looked around his room, suddenly paranoid that someone might be watching him through his webcam. He unplugged it, then kept watching. The man in the video, Daniel would later learn his name was Elias Monroe, described in detail how he had accidentally uncovered a massive data breach while working as an IT contractor for a major financial firm. Not only were client records being sold on the dark web, but some of those clients were government officials and others, criminals. And someone wanted to make sure Elias stayed quiet. The remaining videos showed more footage of Elias being followed, surveillance of suspicious-looking men waiting outside his apartment, and eventually, what looked like a break-in caught on a nanny cam. The last video was timestamped almost 2 years ago. After that, nothing. Daniel sat in silence for what felt like hours. He couldn't believe what he just watched. He debated what to do next. He didn't want to go to the police, not just because Elias said not to, but because he feared they might already be involved. But he had to tell someone. So, he called his best friend, Jordan, and told him everything. Jordan came over the next morning before school. They rewatched some of the videos and discussed whether it was real or just an elaborate hoax. But the fear in Elias's voice, the way the videos were shot, the timestamps, the details, they all felt too real to be faked. Jordan suggested they take it to a journalist instead of the police, someone who could investigate without alerting the wrong people. They spent the weekend emailing anonymous tips to a few investigative reporters they found online. By Monday, one replied. Her name was Nina Rojas, a freelance journalist who had previously exposed a local government cover-up. She agreed to meet them in a public place and asked them to bring the phone. They met at a busy coffee shop downtown. Nina listened carefully as Daniel and Jordan explained everything and showed her the videos. Her face changed as she watched. She asked them a few questions about where they found the phone and what they'd done since. Then she leaned forward. "Listen," she said quietly, "you need to be careful. If this is legit, and I think it is, you might already be on their radar. I'll take the phone, make copies, and start digging. But lay low, okay? Don't post anything about this online. Don't tell anyone else." Daniel nodded. It all felt so surreal. He was just a high school kid. This was way above his head. The next week felt like a blur. Daniel constantly felt like he was being watched. Cars parked across the street for too long. A man at the grocery store who seemed to follow him through 3 aisles. He kept brushing it off as paranoia, Until one night he came home to find his bedroom window open. He never left it open. Nothing was stolen, but his computer was still on, and one of his drawers was slightly open. He called Nina in a panic. She told him to calm down, that she was making progress. She traced Elias Monroe's name to a real missing persons report filed 2 years ago. He had indeed worked for a data security firm in the city, and the timeline matched. More disturbingly, the apartment shown in the videos had been rented under an alias. Everything was pointing to the story being true. Then, on a Thursday night 2 weeks after he found the phone, Daniel received a text from an unknown number. It simply read, "You shouldn't have watched those videos." His hands shook as he stared at the screen. He showed it to Jordan the next day, who said they needed to go to the police now. But Daniel wasn't sure anymore. If someone had his number, what else did they have? His address? His school schedule? He stopped sleeping well. Every creak in the house sounded like footsteps. He started carrying a small pocket knife, even though he hated violence. Nina promised to publish her findings soon, but she wanted to be thorough. She warned that if they rushed it, someone could silence the story, or worse. Then Nina went silent. Her last message had said, "Got something big. Meet tomorrow. Don't be late." But she never showed. Her phone went straight to voicemail. Her Twitter went dark. 2 days later, a local news report said a woman matching her description had been found unconscious in her car, which had crashed into a telephone pole. Authorities said it was an accident, but Daniel wasn't so sure. He started to question everything. Was this all a trap? Had he been manipulated into digging deeper? What if this wasn't about Elias at all, but about drawing out someone else? And then came the biggest twist of all. Late one night, while scrolling through a Reddit conspiracy forum, Daniel saw a post titled, "Anyone remember Elias Monroe?" It had only a few upvotes, but the comments were chilling. One user claimed Elias was their cousin and had always been into crazy stuff. Another said they thought he had faked his disappearance. But one comment stood out. It said, "Elias didn't disappear. He changed his name. He's alive. And I know where he is." Daniel clicked the user's profile. It was empty, no posts, no comments, except that one. He messaged them immediately. Hours passed. Finally, they replied, "You really want to find him? Then meet me." The message included an address, an old storage unit complex on the edge of town, and a time, midnight. Daniel didn't tell Jordan. He didn't want to drag him deeper into this. He grabbed a flashlight, his phone, and his pocket knife, and rode his bike across town in the dark. The storage units loomed like a graveyard of forgotten lives. He walked slowly down the rows until he found Unit 47. The door was slightly open. He pushed it. Inside, a man was sitting at a small folding table, lit by a single battery-powered lamp. He looked older than in the videos, more tired, with a beard and sunken eyes. But it was him, Elias Monroe. "I knew someone would find the phone eventually," he said. Daniel froze. Why didn't you go to the police? Why hide?" Elias sighed. "Because this goes deeper than you know. I'm not just being hunted. I'm being used. The people chasing me, they're not from the government. They're not criminals either. There's something else. Something in between. And now they know about you." Daniel's heart pounded. Why leave the phone in the trash? Why let me find it? Elias looked at him. "Because I needed someone new. Someone they weren't already watching." And then the lights cut out. Darkness swallowed the room, and Daniel heard a sound, tires screeching outside, footsteps, voices shouting. He turned, ran, sprinted into the night without looking back. He didn't know if Elias escaped. He didn't know if he'd just been bait. All he knew was that something was now hunting him, too. That was 3 months ago. Since then, Daniel changed his number, wiped his devices, and stopped answering unknown calls. Sometimes he wakes up to the sound of tapping on his window. Other times, he finds strange symbols carved into his locker at school. He doesn't know who to trust. Not Jordan. Not his teachers. Not even his own memories. But he still has the phone. And the folder just updated with a new video, one he didn't record. It's him, sleeping in his bed. Last night,